All right, that was Eviatar David today, reuniting with his family and one of his friends there who was also held hostage. They didn't know that they were both still alive until today. Just remember, though, a few months ago, his parents were watching the video of their son digging his own grave. That is what Hamas made him do, and then put out the propaganda video. Tonight, he is back with his family. With us now, Kieran Ramsey, Chief Investigative Officer at Global Research, retired FBI Assistant Director, former Director of the U.S. Government Hostage Recovery Fusion Cell. It's good to see you. Help us understand what the hostages are going through right now. From the very basic sense, what are they even eating?
It's a great question. You know, they have been held captive for 737 days. They were held captive underground in caves and basements and tunnels. And we already know they had been subjected to physical abuse, outright torture, psychological torture, and then starvation, not just malnutrition, but starvation. So the conditions with which they were held were absolutely brutal and probably are outside the realm of even dreaming about for most people. So as they come back, and this is really such a joyous day, and my heart is absolutely filled for these families. I mean, my prayers are with these 20 survivors and their families. And sadly, my heart is also still aching for those 26 other families that still have to end this nightmare, sadly, with a funeral, including the last 2 Americans that were held and killed by Hamas. But what this involves now is putting them on that road to healing and recovery. And it really focuses on a couple of things. First and foremost is an emergency medical evaluation, really emergency medical treatments. Some of these folks were injured on October 7th as they went into captivity. We know they did not receive world-class health care by any means. Some of these folks had probably pre-existing health conditions, right, that certainly could have only worsened while they were in captivity. So that emergency medical treatment really has to get them physically set up to start healing. They probably have dental issues too, and people forget that. But you're held captive for 2 years and you don't get to have dental checkups and brush your teeth. That causes health problems as well. Add to that nutrition you mentioned. You know, we know from other cases unrelated to this, where people come home and they say, you know, they want to see their loved ones and then they want to have their favorite meal, you know, that they've been dreaming of. Well, they can't right away. If they did, they'd end up back in the ER because their body has been undergoing starvation, undergoing a transformation that's just brutal because they've even had lack of access to clean water. So they really need to be careful with that nutritional intake, and that's got to be really focused on over the next time. And then last but not least, and probably the most important for this very long pathway of healing and recovery, is the mental health component. And what we try and focus on in the U.S. government, and I know they do this in the Israeli system as well, is you try and reassume this person with their own agency. So they've been held for 737 days. They weren't allowed to decide when they sit or when they stand, who they talk to. So it has to almost be reintroduced piece by piece so that they can learn to make the smallest decisions for themselves that you and I take for granted every day. And that really takes a lot. And people think, well, they see them, those loving embraces they're seeing are fantastic. That's great. But at the same time, we have to be careful because they could easily be overwhelmed. You know, oftentimes it's recommended they have a close family member or friend guide them and slowly introduce them to information about the kidnapping.
Wow. Great point. 2 years, so much has happened. And to try to understand that, and things have changed. And obviously some of them are coming back learning whether or not their family had been killed, whether or not their loved ones were killed, whether or not their friends were still with them that they had lost on October 7th. All right, Kieran Ramsey, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And you're right about what we all think about for them over the next coming weeks and months.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.